All right, we are live here, and we are also live there. And it's okay, we'll cut stuff. Give me a second. Cool. I'll just cut it around like 30 seconds. You know what? Because I'm going to do the intro. I'm trying to figure out when to start that one. I can just start it again in a second.
Oh, you know that like college study music? Like the lo-fi stuff?
Yeah, I always do that. We can do that while it's playing. So what I usually do is this is just for the intro, and then I fade it out, and then I add background music. That's intro music, and then I just want to make sure copyright. So if I do it, it's gonna be super low, and we're gonna be talking over it, so I don't think anything. So you said like study one. Look, we're live. That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, we still haven't started yet, but we're messing around with the.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about how alternative medicine, mental health, lifestyle, things that would make someone feel whole and complete, so they can be their most complete versions of themselves. And there's a lot that goes with it. There's different forms of medicine and alternative medicine. Many people just hear about herbology, and, you take this herb for this, but there's chiropractic medicine, there's traditional Chinese medicine. There's a lot of different health modalities that talk about restoring your health. And they use herbs, but a lot of times, like how we know about acupuncture, they use needles to go with it. And acupuncturists might give some different lifestyle advice compared to chiropractic. The degree that I got for alternative medicine, it talked about all forms of alternative medicine, just about, at least all the popular ones that we know of, such as herbology, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic, chiropractic medicine, hypnotherapy, which is my specialty, and a lot of other health psychology things that goes with it. How what you smell can influence your memory, for example, like rosemary. It helps with memory, just the smell of it. So,
Okay. So, question. So, like with lavender, it's like a calming thing. Is that like one? Is it similar to like rosemary? Like it helps with like specifically that's its function, or?
Yeah, both of those things, both of those herbs, they help. The smell of it helps you with your thought processes in some ways. Rosemary is said to help people with memory recall, and lavender is super popular. It's all about how it can help you relax and make you sleep. But at the same time, uh, the scent that we smell is a memory. Like for example, you might you might have a grandma that passed away, and she used to always make macaroni and cheese or cornbread or something like that. You might you might be vegan or something where you don't even eat those things, but the smell of that can help remember and trigger certain memories. And it's kind of like with PTSD, um, except that's usually with like stressful situations. But you can smell something and that can actually boost your serotonin levels. It's all about, so that's the science of it. And then there's the technique. You can apply the science and technique based off of your own individual constitution, your own individual memories. For some people, maybe they got beat up in a lavender field, and maybe the smell of lavender doesn't really calm them down.
Yeah.
I feel that.
It's like person to person. enhance like your sense of calm.
Yeah, like lavender really is scientifically, unless something's in the way of it, it does help to relieve people, make them more relaxed.
All right, it's just about 2:41. I said we're gonna go live at 2:40. We'll wait a little bit, but so what I'm gonna do is do Anchor at the same time. Anchor is the main like podcast where it's gonna upload. So that's when I'm gonna do the intro. When I do the intro, you'll push play of that at the same time. It'll just be facing you. It'll just be nodding, green, whatever. And then this has been going. I'll cut it, for the beginning of the series, and we have our kratom here. That's licorice, right?
Yeah, this is licorice. And some kratom earlier.
Pretty good stuff. Yeah, we're gonna begin very shortly, and get that going. Sound. This is very high tech. Let's see if I can get this working. We'll begin very shortly.
Oh, is this one of those things where people could like comment or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice. So if anyone has any questions or anything like that, just add it.
Yeah, comments, questions, concerns, just let us know. We'll respond accordingly. Okay. Oh, the sound, the lo-fi. So you said like study beats?
Yeah, with the lo-fi, yeah, that one.
This one? Yeah, I see this one. So I'm gonna cue that once I do the intro. Also recording up here.
So you can skip it.
Okay. And sound process. Whiskers at 10 seconds. Can you see? Okay, T minus 5 seconds. It's too loud. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Nirvana Cosmosis podcast, where we talk about trauma, healthy relationships, lifestyles, and finding your truth. So I'm here today with Jed. We're gonna do something exciting, something new. Jed is my friend. I met at this kava bar. He's a hypnotherapist. He's from Gainesville. He studied at Everglades University.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's got a bachelor's in science and alternative medicine. And he's working towards his master's degree. He's a cool guy I met at a kava bar, and he has so much to offer. So we're going to begin this podcast series on hypnotherapy. So, Jed, you want to say anything about yourself or about alternative medicine? The floor is yours.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I grew up in Gainesville. I went to grade school there. I started going to college there, but ended up joining the military and becoming a medic. And after I got done with that, I decided that I wanted to help people with mental health just as much as I help them with physical health and being a medical assistant. And I also saw a great need for it too by the time that I got out. Because a lot of my friends weren't the same way, just because they went through so much trauma in that span that I was away. And I also wanted to learn how I could help them more. So originally I went to school for hypnotherapy just so that I could learn and have the tools to communicate and reach people on a deeper level. But after being in the school and seeing how much it's helped me, where I had problems where I didn't even think I had problems, but I really just grew up in that school. And I grew up as a person really fast just from going through that school and just having the ability to have insight and openness. And I've healed many people from it throughout the throughout the years. I've built a lot of my friends and family, and I didn't even charge any money when I was like a tadpole in it.
Yeah.
So now I'm a great bullfrog, and I'm out here helping anybody that I can help. I learned a lot of things from going to school for alternative medicine, just about the sciences and the processes of the body, and what it really takes to be a whole, complete human being. And it really opened my eyes to what our true potential is.
Mhm.
And from there, uh, that's just been what I've been on.
Yeah. Is there one specific thing you said you went to Everglades? Like, was that like the best place for you? Like, did you take, from the professors, from the knowledge that they gave you? Did you take like one thing from it?
Yeah, there's so much, and I had so many favorite classes. Outside of the ones that were like stress reduction and relaxation and health psychology, I really like traditional Chinese medicine. And before I learned much about the school itself, I really like Ayurvedic medicine.
Wait, say that again?
Ayurvedic medicine.
Okay. What is that?
Ayurvedic medicine is the medicine that you use in India. And it's all about balancing your doshas. And each person's doshas are related to their constitution. So, for example, I'm what you would call a Vata. And with Vata, it just means that I'm likely to be a little bit light. I uh, the elements that goes with Vata is air and space. So, for example, with air and space, what things do we think about with air and space? Um, Air is very not contained. It's always here and it's always there, and it's also cool.
Air is like all around us. It's just, it fills the space.
Yeah, very light. So, that reflects, for someone's constitution. A lot of people who are very light, they're likely to be a vodka. If they have anxiety or something like that, or maybe they um, like to do a lot of things all at once, like multitasking or something like that, that's a characteristic of a vodka. But there's also other doshas and constitutions, such as Pitta and Kapha.
Okay.
And for one example, with Kapha, Kapha is more muddy and it's very earthy. It's water and earth. So a lot of people with Vata, they might be slow moving or something like that. Maybe they're slow to get up in the morning, or maybe with Kapha, as far as learning goes, they're a slow learner, but they'll remember it when they do. With Vata, we get it, we hold it. Okay, it's on to the next thing. You ask me about it 2 or 3 weeks later. I don't know. I forgot because I'm always here, there, everywhere, just like Earth and space.
Yeah, I think that one's kind of neat. Because like my zodiac sign, for example, is Aquarius, and that's like an air sign. So I feel very airy sometimes. Other times I feel grounded, but definitely multitasking and kind of all over the place within the universe. Yeah. It's kind of cool. That's cool.
Yeah, and for example, what would help someone that's like us, where we're kind of like everywhere sometimes, is just to have a planner or something that would create some structure. Maybe that could even be a job. Just knowing that there are these certain days out of a week, you have to be at some place and you can organize or do things around you. Yeah. Whatever gets you out the house, at first, that gives you some structure. It could be a coach. But once that ball's rolling, Bucky sometimes end up having a different personality. So if we can form some habits that are good and have the structure, then we can really go at that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cling to the thing that's good instead of the thing that's bad.
Yeah.
So creating a routine works. It's important. Yeah. So yeah, alternative medicine. I've been interested in alternative medicine for some time. Even when I was in college studying like criminology, I kind of always leaned to like the science, like the health science and mental health realm. And I want to learn more. I want to dive into it. I want to explore more of that aspect of science. And alternative medicine, it's growing, it's popular. More people are interested now more than ever, especially when like you have physicians that are like prescribing medicines that are generic, and these generic medicines they may help, but they're just an overall like you can really self help and look in your garden, look in your kitchen for those things that will really like benefit your physical, your mental, like and overall like actual help for what you need as a person, because everyone needs different things, and you really have to begin to search for that thing. And a form of alternative medicine is hypnosis. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that herbs and hypnosis really blend well together. Like how you mentioned about how we probably have a lot of things that's in our pantry and in our cabinets or in our gardens that can help with our mental health, our physical health. Uh, so there's many supplements, for example, like 5-HTP that a lot of people use for
Yeah.
trying to maintain a serotonin level. Um, there's also certain herbs that you can take that might be inside your pantry, such as rosemary, and that helps with memory recall. And
Yeah.
you're drinking some kratom. I'm sure you know about kava, and kava is really great for calming some anxiety. Um,
Much like lavender, right?
yeah, so it's all about we can use these herbs in our own way for our own mental health. A lot of times when you're sick, you don't want to take the medicine, right? But the medicine is going to help you. And a lot of times when people need anxiety or have anxiety or have depression, they just sit and dwell in it and just wait for it to go away. When there's a lot of things that they can do um, that could get them out of it and keep them going into the direction that they want to go in. Um,
Yeah, a lot of things that you don't realize you have access to because there's, they're not like alternative medicine is just such it's more accessible than you would think, right? It's like all these things that you don't know the unique properties, the unique like traits that it has that can actually benefit, like like I guess give some examples. You said rosemary.
yeah, and greens in general. So what greens do, like salads and stuff like that, they have a lot of B vitamins in them. And each one of those B vitamins actually helps to regulate a certain emotion or feeling that we have in our body. And it's good to take them every day because then your mood is more stable. You have the right amount of patience, you have the right amount of focus, you have a little bit less anxiety. And with hypnosis, it's more directly, about what's going on. You might realize that you're doing all these things. Just having some awareness of why you might be angry, it'll allow you to take the first step and not blaming your anger on someone else, even though they could be part of something that might trigger you. But um, for example, I had anxiety in English class about not doing right. And I didn't blame the professor on it because he was a very great professor. But I did some meditation and I did some hypnotherapy for it. And I realized that back when I was in high school, I had a very difficult English teacher and it lowered my self esteem. And
Like not, you said not doing right. What do you mean by that? Like not having good grades and completing all the assignments perfectly.
yeah, like I just remember I used to try really, really hard. And the highest that I would get would be a C. And most times I just get a no. The highest I got was a B. And I try really hard sometimes and I barely get a C. And I just really didn't get it. I felt like it was unfair, but it was it gave me some self-limiting thoughts. So when I went into college and had English class, I came in there with a few self-limiting thoughts. Like the only thing that separates me from the most choose English uh, professional is just the mind,
Yeah.
you know, and
Self-limiting is has a strong pull on people. Like me personally, I know that I like have these doubts and these like things that I won't go after something because I have that one thing that's like maybe you shouldn't because you're not gonna be the best at it. But it doesn't like it stops me from trying.
yeah.
It stops me from trying for sure.
And we see that a little bit more obvious when it's something in the case of like a relationship where, maybe I don't want to trust this person. Maybe someone might have dated someone that had drugs. So we may date someone that has, or meet someone that has drugs or something like that. They could be thinking about, that person. And their thoughts alone might actually create a mental image of that person as them. Um, so
Almost as if a trigger, right? It's like that one instance. It's kind of like I don't know, the mental picture is kind of like triggers their body to not, I don't know, because the mind and body connection.
yeah, and the more we like really realize these things about it, that it's not their reality. It's just bringing up a different memory.
Yeah.
It can be the first steps to actually healing and growing from that memory, where it's not like my ex was this and this person is this. It can be like my ex happened to have this. And it's funny that all of a sudden this new person who's completely different has this as well.
And nothing is a coincidence. I learned from like a TED Talk recently. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything happens because of our choices,
Yeah, and just by coincidence, if someone does come into a person's life like that, it's always an opportunity. It's always a new door where one door in the past was closed. What I mean by that is that it's a challenge. So this can be a new challenge to actually open up and heal whatever it is. Or we can be so traumatized by something that happened in the past that we don't allow ourselves to heal. So that means that whether it's this person that's in here that has dreads, the person after that, are you going to carry the same thoughts again and again and again until you're 50 or until you're dead and you just die with those thoughts?
those self-limiting beliefs, those like, that story we keep playing in our head over and over and over. You just believe it because it's on replay.
Yeah, the universe is always giving us certain challenges and opportunities to do better, to grow higher. It's all about how we use it. It's kind of like if life gives you lemons, what are you going to do? You're going to make some lemonade out of it.
Or just let the women sit there because you don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, you can do that too. Like,
Yeah.
But you don't have to like take the lemon, cut it, and squeeze it into your eye because it's another lemon. We shouldn't do that to ourselves. We should look at everything as you see the good at it.
Opportunity.
The silver lining, because there's always a silver lining in any kind of mushroom.
Mushroom fat, yeah. So, alternative medicine, it helps with physical health, mental health, spiritual. Like it just overall, it's just an alternative to the regular medicine that we've been given. So why not give it a try? And another form of alternative medicine is hypnosis. So, what is hypnosis? How does it work?
So hypnosis is a natural yet altered state of mind where the subconscious mind is open to positive suggestions. Um, we experience hypnosis in and out throughout each day. So that means that if you're driving on the highway, like for example, if you're an Uber or Lyft driver, you might notice that it's almost like you're just going automatically. When you're watching a movie and you're captivated and you're shocked or scared about what's going on, or you're happy, that's a trance-like state. You know that none of that stuff is real, but it feels real. And just like how you have a dream, there's a lot of thoughts that feel real and actually have an effect on us. But our subconscious mind is open to positive suggestions. And it can actually shift our perspective when we look back at the things that are going on and how our feelings and where we feel our feelings, because there's a felt sense that's inside your belly uh, that sometimes below your chin or just above your waist.
Mhm.
But whenever you have a certain emotion and it's authentic, such as anger, you feel that feeling somewhere in your body. What hypnosis does is it kind of silences it or makes it much more easier to feel. Um, so hypnosis, how we would do for a session, for example.
Hold that thought. Should be right here.
Yeah. So,
Hypnosis, yeah.
for example, if we were doing a session, um, I would do a few tests, some that would bridge into hypnosis that would show me how to best work with you and how for you to best work with me. And from there, I would do a couple of deepening techniques, which is something that would lower stress and uh, make you more relaxed. Because when you're more relaxed, you can think a little bit clearer. And from there, we'll bridge that into something that is actually related to the actual issue. And there's a couple different modalities and techniques that I could add into that, such as parts therapy, where we talk to different parts of yourself. It's not like you have multiple personalities or something like that, bipolar, but parts therapy is kind of like part of me might want to pick up this pen, and part of me doesn't. But the part of me that doesn't is so strong that I don't do it. So within ourselves, we have different parts of ourselves. So what's holding me back from being the best student? That could be I want to hang out with friends. That's a part of you that wants to hang out with friends, and then there's a part of you that actually wants to study. So those parts would talk to each other. We figure out the best arrangement and how to best go about the right way.
Mhm.
Because ultimately, all parts of us just wants to be happy, but parts of us gets in the way. There's also age regression, where we go back to some time in the past, which could be anywhere from yesterday, or it could be all the way um, when we were a child or in the womb. Or we could even do a past life regression, where we go all the way back into the past life. And, we could work on some issues from there.
That's so interesting. The past life regression, like, because like it's like almost like it's a hypothetical,
Yeah.
and so you can actually like regress to that point where you weren't yourself, or you yourself, but in a different form. It's interesting.
Yeah, and with past life regression, it's a lot of people have remembered very damning information
Mhm.
that they would have only knew if they actually lived that past life, or it's information that no one's known. Say there might be an old man who's like maybe 90 years old, had a friend, and you might end up saying a whole bunch of information that only that 80-year-old person would have known because they've talked to their 20-year-old friend at a certain time and they've shared that information with them. That was like a secret. Um, if someone's from a different city, a different location, they have a past life regression about somewhere here in Tampa, for example. How do they know this information? And how do they have such vivid recollections of these things?
Mhm.
You know, um, it only makes sense if it was something like that. Like,
Mhm.
if there's some legitimacy, then yeah, it's that. So,
And we're just gonna pause for a second because I can only record up to 30 minutes on Anchor. Throw an ad right there. Thank you to my one listener. We're live broadcasting Tampa, Florida.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna make a little bit more content after.
Yes, and after this short break, we might venture into a little some relaxation techniques, breathing techniques, or hypnosis, or that he usually does in a hypnotist. Am I saying it right? This session.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. I'm sure this is good. Yeah, these kids are loud. But it's not, I don't think it's, maybe it's the background. So, this is not charging. The only thing with Anchor, I always stop and start, and that's how I make the clips, so it's gonna be straight through. Ergo, I can't really clip anything, but it's okay. Yeah, that's cool. Things going.
Yeah, and we can even like make chapters on it, like what's it called? Like, I don't know. That's just something that YouTube does.
Chapters?
Yeah, like you can press like which parts of the video you want to see and stuff like, so you can like skip all those stuff or whatever.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna dive back into, you explained what is hypnosis and how it works. So what's next after? Well, I guess let's. You explained hypnosis and the common goal. First, you do intake. Like, how do you begin a session?
So when I begin a session, get their name, we get to know each other a little bit, and from there we start talking about why we're here.
I'm sorry. You're starting. So we're back, and so we talked about what is hypnosis, how does it work, and so first you have intake and find a common goal. So can you explain like how you start a session?
Yeah. So after I can figure out, what the problem is, what the goal is, I get an intake of feelings and emotions that come from it, and after that, I educate the client about what hypnosis is. I tell them what hypnosis is. I ask them if they have any fears or misconceptions, because there's a lot of propaganda uh, going around about what hypnosis is. So from there, I would do a few deepening techniques to make a person more relaxed and calm. And when you're calm, you can think about a couple things a little bit better, and you can actually use some better judgment. It's like the opposite of being drunk, when calm you are. So from there, we go into specific hypnotic techniques relating to the problem and what techniques would be best. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you want to do any of those relaxation techniques right now, or what's your game plan? What do you want to do? Because I think that I would like to experience some hypnosis. I want to see what it's like.
Yeah.
Or I guess you could like just go through the steps of the breathing that you do to relax someone that's getting hypnotized. Right?
Yeah. I use a hand movement, so you can sit there right where you're at, and what you would do is look at one spot on my hand and focus on that one spot as if nothing else matters. Instead, all you're doing is on that one spot as if nothing else matters. Good. Now I want you to take a deep breath in, pull your lungs completely. And as you exhale, think to yourself, sleep. One more time, deep breath in, close your eyes completely. And as you exhale, think to yourself, sleep. Good. Now you can breathe more. You know, I'm going to count backwards from 5 to 1. And when I get to number 1, you'll allow your eyes to completely shut. With each number that comes down, you allow yourself to grow more and more relaxed. 5. Thinking to yourself, sleep, sleep, sleep. 4. Releasing all the tension you have in your body. Going down even deeper, deeper, deeper. 3. Growing deeper relaxed, deeper relaxed, deeper relaxed. 2. Allowing yourself to completely relax all the tension in your body. Allowing yourself to be one with your breathing. In 1. And completely let go. Ease all the tension in your body. Allow yourself to focus on nothing except your breath. Your palm releasing out and in with each breath. Now I'm going to count back up from 1 to 5. When I get to number 5, you allow yourself to be awake to your normal, regular waking frequency. 1, come back more and more to the sound of my voice. 2, don't worry about yourself, the world and everything in it. 3, coming back more and more. 4, you allow yourself to completely come back to your waking consciousness. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Begin to breathe, move, and stretch. And yeah. So that was literally the beginning and how I would end the session.
Nice. I feel relaxed. I feel the tension definitely released from my body. But I felt, I don't know, I felt some tension relief there. So you do that before each session? Or?
Yeah, I think that with every session that I have, I do a hand wave. That technique right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's how I would end the session too. Once we do all the work that we need to do and talk about the things that we need to talk about, that's how I wake people up after the session.
That's nice. I definitely felt into it. Like, I think that like looking at that spot on your hand was like kind of like I felt like the transit because like I don't know.
Yeah, because it was flowing with your breathing patterns too.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look this way, for example, it makes your body turn. Like I did wrestling also, and they used to always say like look away from your app. If someone's like trying to turn you this way,
yeah,
if you turn this way, you get on your back. If you look away from it, it just gives you better balance. So our eyes, our breath, our focus. Hypnotherapy is a really holistic practice. You know, we just don't really see it as much just because, we just put in the category of mental health. But it helps with so many other things that aren't so obvious.
Yeah. Well, like, so hypnotherapy is used for memory recall, diving into your subconscious. It helps with like, you can dive into like, so for instance, like I'm a criminology major. So we learned a little bit about hypnotherapy and how like victims of crimes or of just trauma, they kind of could go back into what happened without re-traumatizing themselves. Because it's recalling in their memory without them being conscious. Well, they are conscious. They're just in like a dreamlike state, or like I don't know. It's just like recalling those past events that you wouldn't normally recall if you were like conscious, because you're diving into your subconscious. If that makes sense.
Yeah, like it's just like how if you forget something and then you remember something like, oh, where did I put this stuff?
My
Like,
keys, for example. It's like
yeah,
I still cannot find my car keys. I need to by tomorrow. But yeah, it's useful for that.
and the map to your keys could be right there inside your subconscious mind. Um, except it's hard to control the subconscious mind sometimes. Like you might forget something consciously, and just um, from seeing something like a book, you might think, "Oh, that book has this stuff in it," and oh my gosh, I left my keys at the library or something like that.
Yeah. Something that jogs or like
Yeah,
that trigger.
like a trigger. It's just like how the smell of macaroni, if your grandma made it or something like that. When you smell macaroni, your grandma's not there or anything like that. But the smell of that can be like just something. It'll connect the dots. You can see things a little bit more clear. So
Wow.
so hypnotherapy, it can focus so much on one specific moment or event, and you can put in, you'll be more aware of the feelings that you were feeling, your thoughts that you were thinking at that time, um, everything that goes into it. And from your subconscious mind, the hypnotherapist, it will help you fill in the dots. Like, okay, this makes sense. This makes sense. This is where my keys are. Or this is where my anxiety is. Or this is this is where it's at. And from there, just having that awareness, now you can get your keys. Now you can use these tools to let go of anxiety or depression or something like that. Um,
It's so interesting how like you said, it can where you can kind of find out where your anxiety came from, It's so interesting how like you're just in this state where your mind, is able to like, memory recall. Like it's just so interesting how like you can really like go back into that moment, you know. I find that so interesting, like about hypnotherapy, that you can really just like take a couple minutes and like, or however long the session is, and really just like recall that situation and really like have that realization after, like the truth of why you are acting a certain way, or have these self-limiting beliefs like we were talking about before. Like finding the source.
yeah, and there was even one case where there was a woman, she hooked up with a guy, and the guy gave her her number, or his number, except she lost the number and she found out that she was pregnant. And she started to have a panic attack, it was a crisis. And she ended up seeing a hypnotherapist who brought her back to that exact moment in that night where he gave her his number. And she was able to recall all 7 digits of that number and was able to call him, where otherwise she would just hope that she saw him someday.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I also wanted to dive into like, I don't know, like you said, like the mind and body connection, like waking up every morning with a purpose, like someone like Steve Jobs that's successful. He wakes up and his mind and body are connected. Like I guess like finding happiness, and like hypnotherapy can help with, can help with trauma, or finding out where your anxiety is, like, or what's stopping your growth, kind of. Like having that mind body connection is vital to like being happy and finding that thing that's blocking you from being successful, I guess.
Yeah, we're the makeup of everything that we think that we are. If we think of ourselves as, you know, an angel or a light or something like that, that can guide people, then we can be that. Because we'll act like it, we'll talk like it, and we actually genuinely believe it, regardless if other people don't believe it. Um, And that's what would form our personality, and that's what can actually form our destiny. So, for example, Steve Jobs, he had an idea about making, phones and stuff like that, and innovating it to the point that we have iPhones. It was a huge game changer when iPhone really dropped and became so popular. So he had that ideal, he kept going for it. I'm sure along the path, he had a lot of people who had doubts about him and doubts about his ideals, but he never let that shut him down to the point to where he doesn't pursue it. So, so, so that's all that changes. Like we're no different than Steve Jobs. He has a brain. Well, he had a brain. Rest in peace. You know, he had a heart, a lungs, intestines, a body, arms, legs, whatever it is. We're almost exactly like Steve Jobs in our own way. The only thing that separates us is really just the big part that separates us is the mind. And really, if we take out the aspects of our own, we can, these self-limiting thoughts, this low self-esteem, the naysayers and stuff like that. And we really if we put more focus into what we actually thought and who we actually are, we can express that to the point to where we're getting all these accolades based off of what we want.
Yeah. Yeah. Setting up your mind to like guide your body. It's like, it's you have to be connected to your mind. Like you have to be connected in order to like flow without, having those blockages. Waking up with a purpose is important. Routine is important, and like going for those goals and those things that like keep you going. That's important. So, do you want to add anything else, or?
Yeah, I think that it's a good thing that you brought up like the routines and stuff like that. Like, if we can really organize our lives, like regardless of how our mood is at the moment, behaviors play a huge influence on our moods and where we're going and stuff like that. So if we want to be our best version of ourselves in the morning, it's going to take more than just having that idea in our mind. You have to prepare, maybe get your clothes ready for in the morning.
Set yourself up.
Yeah, set yourself up to be successful and not to fail. Um, and that's a huge part, just drinking water, for example. That plays a huge part in our physical health and our mental health, even uh, our emotional health as well. Um, so, yeah, and there's a lot of different lifestyle habits that would be good depending on a person's, where someone's at in life and what they want and where they're trying to go.
Yeah, personally, right now, like I have a couple blockages going on with all COVID and the I don't know, the holidays are kind of difficult for me. So I've been manifesting intuition in my career and really trying to meditate on that. And I think that I've obviously going to give myself time to figure it out. But waking up every morning and doing the same thing and being focused on that one goal, I think I'm gonna figure it out. I have faith in myself that if I stay connected to that goal and my body, and I think that it's the key to having success and having that realization eventually, or epiphany or whatever. But yeah. Um, Thank you, Jed, for talking to me today. I love gaining knowledge and connecting with people. And thank everybody for tuning in. This is a very unique episode, and we're looking to make this a series. Hopefully, I would like to. This is our first YouTube video on NCP, Nirvana Cosmosis podcast. This will be available on YouTube. Follow Jed on Instagram if you want more information about therapy, if you want to be mesmerized by his craft. His Instagram is Jed Will.
Yeah, Will Kawil,
Yep.
and Jed is just JED.
Yep. So you find him on Instagram, JEDKAWIL. And namaste, people. Thank you for tuning in. Peace and blessings. Well, there's lots of cut and clip, but I think that was pretty good. Do you want to if you do want to add anything, there's like a space for me to, add a chunk and whatever. Let's see. Oh, you sure you stop? You want to do it?